I am old enough to have been on this planet to have seen some mighty big bubbles form and burst. And the video game, it's not by any stretch of the imagination anywhere near the dot-com bubble. Many of you weren't around for that. Was as big as the Asian currency crisis. A lot of you certainly weren't around for that. And it doesn't hold a candle to the housing bubble. But this is you adjust for GDP. This is on par, if not bigger than the original video game bubble back in 82, 83, which I too was around for. I was just a little bit younger back then. And this was as a hobby, as for fun. I enjoy watching the video games industry because I enjoy, or I used to enjoy video games at one time. And this was just, I don't know, the 30th example, the 30th bit of data of an industry that is blowing up or collapsing. IGN, gamesindustry.biz, and Humble losing talent to soft layoffs. And if you don't know what IGN and all that is, because you get laid and you have a sex life, there was this thing at one time called video games journalism. And like every other um, aspect of the journalism industry, it was fraudulent, it was hacky, it was politicized, it didn't report the news. And IGN is one of the larger ones. And many of these IGN, Kotaku, video games journalist websites were bought up by, I don't know, a private equity firm called Ziff Davis, or Ziff is a guy, media conglomerate, they say here. I don't know why. Hey, gang, let's start a new newspaper. Start a radio. Let's start a radio station. Yeah. Yeah, that's the idea. How many billions would you want? So I want to read this and I'll go on to explain to gosh, maybe pushing hundreds of thousands, certainly tens of thousands. If you consider the backdrop of the interest rates going up and big tech laying people off, if you consider, yeah, definitely hundreds of thousands. People getting laid off in the video games industry and where you might find a job. It has only been a few months since IGN owner Ziff Davis, sounds like a guy, purchased key gamer network publications, including gamesindustry.biz, Rock Paper's Shotgun, VG247, and more. I know you guys all subscribe to that. Shortly after, a number of employees across those outlets were laid off. Now, Ziff Davis has caused another staff exodus by pushing soft layoffs. That's according to Aftermath, which reports the company offered voluntary buyouts to workers who might be ready to move on or explore new opportunities. That news was corroborated in an email shared on X in October by Semaphore media editor Max Tanny. I know you know all these people. These are the Anderson Coopers of the world. In the past few weeks, GameIndustry.biz has lost notable employees, including editor-in-chief James Batchelor, deputy editor Marie Delisandri, and head of games B2B Chris Dring. This is also correlated with Condé Nast. They just laid off a bunch of people, not video games journalism. The trio publicly announced their departures on social media. Aftermath claims it will soon leave the website to one full employee. That's the same thing as the other, I guess, large video game journalism website, Kotaku. I think they're down to one person. At one time, if you go on their Twitter account, not at one time, they still do have millions of followers. But I'm not joking. Me on my own little lonesome, a very moderately sized YouTube channel with my 20,000 Twitter followers, I get more traction than them. In July, another Ziff Davis subsidiary, Humble Games. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. IGN has reportedly been impacted but not decimated, with one current employee telling Aftermath that around 6 employees have accepted buyouts. Well, how many are left? In July, another Ziff Davis subsidiary, Humble Games, said it was undergoing restructuring after multiple outlets reported the entire company had effectively shuttered its 36-strong team, laid off. Blah, 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 blah. I could read on. I don't have to. These were the same. We're scaling back. We're reevaluating, all the corporate speak and all this. So, again, if you're not aware of it, And on the thumbnail, I put a bunch of different logos from different companies that have either been shut down wholly or have suffered layoffs. And then those are all the video game developers, the studios. You may not be aware what's a studio, what's a publisher, and all that. Doesn't matter. These are essentially companies either independent on their own or owned by larger corporations, a lot of times Microsoft, Activision, and things like that. Where in the past two, maybe going so far back as 3 years, but definitely the last year, it has been a bloodbath. And if I used to be an economist, at one time I was a professional economist, and if I was professional like I was in the past, I would go and look up what is the total amount of people employed in the video game industry and how many have been laid off. And I'm sure I'd get some kind of number say, oh my God, look, here's the number and the percentage. But I remember when I was an economist, I'd show people percentages and no one gave a shit. And so I just go by like, yeah, this has all the makings of a collapse. This is a bubble bursting. And so for you young people, because the video game industry, whether it's journalism, development, the management of these video game companies, it skews younger. A lot of people coming out of college, this is like their only job they've ever had. They're getting laid off. I wanted to go as an economist, go and explain to those of you who have been laid off in the video game industry or adjacent industries, particularly the video games journalism industry, ways to find employment, right? This might be the first no joke recession you've been in, or certainly, the economy can be fine, but your industry can suffer. It happens. It's all Trump's fault, by the way. It totally is. I'm an economist. You got to trust me on that. But here's a couple things that you guys can do to help find employment. And I'm just doing this as an olive branch to all of you video game industry professionals. So the first thing you got to figure out is what kind of video game industry professional are you? Are you someone who actually makes the game or not? Those are the two types of people. They're the people who make the games, the software developers, the software engineers, if you will. And then there is everyone else, right? If you are a software engineer, if you're an actual developer, well, you have computer programming skills, and you can simply take those skills and apply them to other industries within the country. Now, I know a lot of you are fresh out of college and, but I don't want to work in an industry that is a video game. Tough. Doesn't matter. I didn't want to become a ballroom dance instructor. It just happened. That's where the money was. Ask me, long story. But at least you got a skill, right? You could program, you could code. You could go work for IBM. You could go work for Cargill. You could go work for Target or whatever. You may have to skill up a little bit or learn a different language or something like that. But you could, there are jobs outside the software industry for you. Same thing with like accountants or I'm trying to think who's important. The IT guy, which wouldn't be a programmer, that'd be computer networking. But you get my point, right? You have a skill. Your particular industry right now is collapsing, but thankfully you got a skill that applies outside of that. All of you, this is group number 2 now, who don't have those skills, you're fucked because you don't actually have any skills. You don't offer anything of value. At least the nerds, the programmers, the guys and the gals who actually produce something of value, they have skills. All you MBA white collar middle managers, all you community managers, all you HR directors, certainly you consultants, and especially you DEI consultants, you're fucking worthless. I mean, you got no skill. Now, don't feel bad. Writers. Oh my God, get rid of the writers. You don't need writers anymore. Just get rid of your writers. I think you nerds, you guys can just write pretty good. If a story is needed, which it really shouldn't be the main focus of the video game. But anyway, like you guys, it's sad because you will see this in bubbles where I remember this. I got hired on as a finance director for a .com, and I was paid actually good money. And when the money is flowing or low interest rates or people just, corporate HQ gives you billions of dollars, they can make whatever you want. You think, finally, here I am. The skill I have, it's just been bad luck up until now. No, you have to realize you're in a bubble, and this was a temporary and fleeting, ne'er to return again um, bubble you've enjoyed. You got to ride the wave. You should really look and say, man, despite me being an HR master's in HR person or a writer or your general rank and file MBA corpo or your the journalists. I mean, come on. Did you really think you could never play video games and write about them? Did you think that was going to last forever? Regardless, whether you're the MBA corporal, the HR director, the DEI consultant, the journalist, or the writer, you guys have no values. Yeah, right. No, you might have values, ethics. I mean, you have no employable value. You have no value to the labor market. You don't really produce anything of value. It's been a bubble, an overinvestment, a malinvestment, if you want to use an economic term, where people who a lot of times don't own the money they invested, like the dot-com days and the housing bubble. They threw all this money into, projects that weren't going to pay off, housing developments that weren't going to sell, dot-coms that are never going to be profitable. In your case, video games that would just never sell. And you really aren't necessary to create video games. You're just added bloat. You're fat. You're like every other corporate or a corporation in America. Just rent seekers. Now, you guys got a little bit different, okay? See, the actual valuable employees of your firms, your programmers, your engineers, your accountants, your nerds, they can find employment elsewhere. You guys, the first step is to admit you got a problem, as you have no skills, right? You are of no value to the economy. So now you're going to have to find a new skill, a new skill set, a trade, so that you offer something of value to society and it's not dependent on temporary bubbles where financiers and investors lost their fucking minds. So there's a couple places that you can go, all right? You could join your nerdy brethren in the video game industry and learn to code, like actually learn to code, not design, not UX, IX, okay? No, like an actual computer science degree. You actually learn the languages. Now, I'm not a video game developer. I don't know all the terms and terminology, but I can spot someone who actually is the programmer versus someone who has a degree in programming management. Like you couldn't program a line of code to save your life, but you're managing. All right. No, you got to become one of the nerds. All right. So that's one thing you could do. You could go, number two is you could go into other STEM or reliably employable professions. You could become engineers. Of course, you'd be leaving the video game industry, but I would leave. It's not coming back for a while. Go take a look, see how long it took the housing bubble to come or housing market to come back. So you could go into engineering. You could become an accountant. You could become a doctor. And not that Joe Biden fake bullshit doctor, like an actual medical doctor, like, again, someone who actually offers something of value. I'm trying to think what else. Usually you're, a nurse practitioner. What else is a good degree? Your engineerings, your accountings, your MIS, your IT guy type of things. So there are jobs out there that you can get by going back to college for a real degree. Many of you have college degrees. You got your 2 years of worthless prereqs out of the way, so it's only going to be another 2 years for you to go back to college. And you get like an actual degree that provides society value. So that's another thing to consider. Related, but it's not as glorious. A lot of people poo-poo on this, but a trade. Many of you could think about becoming a plumber. What a plumber is, I know this is boring and they play with poo and they're gross. But you see, plumbers make sure the sewers work. I don't know if you think about that much, but it's pretty cool that the sewers work. And they get paid lots of money to be a plumber. If you run your own shop, they're charging usually around $300 an hour, depending on how well you manage your plumbing company. You can bring in net $150 per billable hour. Electricians, you know how computers and video games run on electricity, right? You ever wonder how that came about? You ever see those big, tall metal, scaffolding those towers, those metal towers with the electrical lines. Yeah, you could learn to actually build those. You could build those yourself. You could repair them. You could become a lineman. They make really good money. You'd have to get your hands calloused. You'd have to work and learn something. It wouldn't just be social media or tickety tired. There's not a lot of meetings. Linemen and electricians don't hold a lot of meetings about what kind of pizza you're going to buy on Friday as a reward to the peons. It's more like, oh shit, a tornado went through and all the electricity is out for this entire area. We got to go fly a helicopter in and crawl up there with 10,000 volts of electricity, not die, and restore electricity. So all the precious little journalism majors can go write their journalism pieces about how the world's so horrible and bad. For you guys, it's not exactly a girl catcher. Like if you're like, oh, I'm a truck driver, or I'm a welder, I'm a plumber, you're gonna make a lot of money. And you actually are doing tremendous good for society. You do. I mean, plumbers alone, good sewage prevents death and disease, and so does electricity. You guys are very much contributing members of society. They're just not celebrated because so boring. But you'll definitely be better employed. You go to a trades program, 18 months, a mechanic. You guys like moving cars, right? 18 months, you can actually be a contributing member of society and being paid for it. Yeah, no kidding. The trades. There's the military. I don't know if you've heard about that. They have some exceptional benefits like tuition reimbursement with the GI Bill. You get pretty much lifelong health care, I believe, through the VA. You get free food, clothing, and shelter. Many of you are probably going to need that because you didn't save up all that much money. I mean, come on, like, what'd you journos really make? And if you did make it, did you save any of it? Did you? You didn't? Okay, well. So the military is, if you're young enough, I think you gotta be under 35 to join. You can go part-time military through the National Guard or the reserves, but it's something you might want to consider. There, you're defending the country. You pick up a lot. Actually, the military is a really good deal. They will train you. You could take college courses while you're there, get skill or a trade. You guys might want to consider it. And then in the interim, there's regular old jobs. Now, if you can believe this or not, like a barista, they actually serve society. Now, maybe they're not as mission critical as, say, a lineman or a sewage engineer, but baristas do provide a service. They provide you coffee, and hopefully they make it good and professional. There is a positive contribution of barista. General laborers, all the Latinos that you see lining up at Home Depot, and they mow your yard so you don't have to. And a lot of times they also become tradesmen and do roofing so that you don't have to. So you could play click on the internets and write pieces about, oh my God, we're so bro. Oh, let's have meetings. If you're wondering, the Latinos, not general laborers, they don't have a lot of meetings either. They do everything from landscaping to irrigation, roofing, carpentry, construction as well. And like I said, there's an overlap with the trade, but just a general laborer is fine too. A security guard, driving Uber, all these things, they may not be as glorious or as exciting as someone who, say, I'm trying to think they're not. Are they saving lives like heart surgeons? No, but you know what? They're actually contributing and making the world better. And you may want to consider trying that for once. You may want to consider trying that. And then for ladies, you have two options that men don't. Okay. And that is to use male attraction to women as a means to monetize that. Now, a lot of young gals the newest and greatest thing is called OnlyFans. This is where you go on the internet and you exchange pictures of yourself for money. See, I'm very hip to that, even though I'm old. I know what's going down with the kids. Men really don't have that option. You guys don't have that. In my day, we called it stripping. Okay. But it's all gone online now. There's no reason to go to a dirty, nasty, Lord knows what creepy crawlies are crawling on that stripper pole. You don't have to do it. It's much safer. No stalkers. You from the convenience of your home, you can do that. But then there's another thing, and just hear me out. All right. A lot of you would be like, well, wait a minute. I don't want to manage poo. I don't want to get shot in the military. I was a barista once. I don't want to do. I can't be a security. I don't want this. I don't want to learn to code. I want to do engineering. I'm bad at math. Whatever. Well, have you thought about getting in shape, becoming nice, finding a guy, getting married, making your husband happy, and raising some children? This you can become a wife and a mother. Now you're gonna have to find a guy who can earn enough income to pay for a family, right? You will probably have to then hit the gym and get in really good shape because and now this is unfortunately God, the patriarchal bastard that he is, program men to find women physically attractive. I know, the prick. Anyway, if you were to get, I'm not saying you should do this. I'm just giving you your options. It's up to you to search your soul and find out what's moral and right for you. Men don't have this option. Women can, if you got in really good shape, long hair and became feminine, and not or, and you were nice and sweet and kind and charming. There will be these guys. They will do this thing. They will propose marriage to you. And if the guy is particularly wealthy, which if you're wondering, well, how can I tell? Well, I just explained some very well employed areas. Engineer, the nerds you want to give the time of day to over at the engineering or the programming place where the video games came out. Yeah, those guys, I know. The plumbers, the ones that, oh, gross, he plays with poo all day. Yeah, he makes $300 an hour. Yeah, okay. You could find a guy like that. And if you treated him nice and were feminine and sweet and kind, and you raise kids, that guy would probably take care of you. Now, guys, you don't have that option. Sorry. Just, take it up with the patriarchal bastard upstairs or nature, whichever you care to believe in. But that's something for you guys to consider there. All right. So that's 5 employment options for everyone, 6 for the ladies. Yeah, you're the community managers and your HR, the DEI consultant. Those are my favorites. The writers and you guys, you're gonna no. And I just want to let you know, you don't want to become like those millennials who double down and got a man. Well, okay, here, some free advice. Whatever you do, do not double down and get a master's degree in whatever it is your worthless horseshit bachelor's degree was in, right? A master's in journalism is not going to help you. A master's in creative writing is not going to help you. Okay. Trust me, this is a very temporary and fleeting economic phenomenon that you were employed at all for the past couple of years. All right. But I remember being overly employed back in the .com days, and I knew it wasn't going to last forever because I am, after all, an economist. But I saved my money. I don't know if you guys did that. That's something you should do to save your money. But you see, the problem is there's no value in what God darn near half of you guys did at these video game companies. They're certainly not the website journalism companies. So if you ever have a question, okay, I don't want to feed you with too much economics here because economics is boring. If you're wondering, well, how do I know which industries are valuable? Like which industries, which jobs and professions do people value the most? In other words, where am I producing the most value for society? You can look at this thing on the internet. You search starting wages or median salary, or meaning you look up salary and wage data, and the higher the pay, the higher the value you're contributing to society. This is why, for example, when I was a security guard, adjusted for inflation, I only really made about $17, $18 an hour. And a heart surgeon, which I don't even know what they make, but I got to imagine it's several $1,000s an hour. They're obviously, the heart surgeon is more valuable to society than the security guard. But the security guard, even only making $17 an hour, I mean, that's better than a community manager and certainly more than a DEI consultant. I mean, because there's no value there. I mean, it was a fluke. You guys got paid for that. Anyway, so there you go. I hope that helps out all of you who've been laid off in the video game industry these past couple of years. It is the quickest route to employment and getting your finances together. Please, please, please do not listen to what your teachers and parents and guidance counselors and professors told you that you could make a living in these bullshit fields that don't produce anything of value. And do realize that the financing is gone, right? The interest rates are higher now. Sales aren't coming in. It's been a fun, good old, it's been a great party, but all good things come to end, and this is one of them. If you have any questions, Cappy, geez, you seem to know a lot about finance and employment and economics and things. I do. You could go and consult one of my many resources I've put together to help young people not be perennially unemployed, poor. Essentially, by the end of the time, uh, poverty-stricken baby boomers don't have enough money to save for retirement. That's basically what I'm trying to prevent you guys from doing. I have many resources. There's some books linked below, namely Worthless, The Young Person's Indispensable Guide to Choosing the Right Major. Bachelor Pad Economics. Girls, you can read that too. It's just Bachelor Pad. What else was the other one? Oh, no, that's a different one. There's several. I have them all linked below. None of them financially minded are coming to mind right now. But you could find them on Amazon. I have that link below. Then also I have linked below, if you're not the reading type, I have a suite of courses offered through Teachable. Those are more financially minded than I have a book called Boris the Shitting Buffalo. I have a wider writing array than I do my courses. My courses largely just focus on finance. But you may be interested in achieving financial excellence, how to stop being lazy, and of course, the dad you never had. Because if I had a child, that child would, I'd be like, no, you're not majoring in journalism. No, no, you're not. No, you're not. All right. So I hope we helped out our fellow American men and women in the video game industry. Don't worry. Everyone goes through this. Everything goes through this. I know. Follow your heart. Money didn't follow. Who would have guessed? So you guys could try those 5, optional 6 if you're a girl, options to go ahead and make some money. Let's go through the super chats and have ourselves a treat. Hand Clogs, $5. What's up with the Visa and MasterCard blacklisting Japanese companies? Almost like debanking. Have you checked out the Wi files? Ah, god dang it. You're right, Hat. I got to do the Wi Fi. Where's the pen? Oh, shit, the Wi files. It's, hang on. No, I haven't. I haven't. I've been busy just chilling out and listening to nerd stuff. I went to the gym, went for a hike today, like a double workout, because it was wonderful outside. It was 61 degrees and sunny. It was beautiful. Because I didn't major in DEI. Sam Whiskey, most American name in America, $10. They need to abandon the subscription model and nonstop updates, and more importantly, bring back Laura Croft from 1996. Sam, that would be the NBA corporate dude bros. Okay. Those guys only know sales, bro. I mean, we talked about it a million times before. They don't even know how to cut quality, cut costs, keep the price the same, and subscriptions. There are, in addition to the fat and the bloat of worthless, talentless people that the video game industry employs, which I'm estimating at half. The corpos, the NBA guys, they have really got to abandon profit at any cost, because you don't have profit at the end of it. You need to get rid of subscription services. Unless you want to play online, like, okay, fine, I get that. There needs to be an actual game involved, no pay to play, and then they got to start making people good looking again. I agree, Sam. But this isn't going to happen. The video game industry is going to have to. It's going to be like the housing market. I imagine. It's going to take at least 3, more like 5 years before the current generation of like glamour honors, people who are in love with the idea of working in the video game industry, but were too lazy to actually become programmers. You know, like who's I'm going to become a community manager. Like, if you don't know what that is, look that up. They actually pay these people to do this. They're basically just like Karens that ban people. I'm not, it's having a political, like the East German Stasi, you'd have a political officer. The CCP over in China, they have political officers at different institutes. That's all it is. Guess how fun that makes the game. Yeah, there's a lot that the MBAs would have to do, but they're not gonna do it. Y just look to the future of video game companies and video game developers who have yet to make their mark, who have yet to come into existence. The future is in the future. It's not with the current and the present. Jackson, $5. The old school game devs are haunting homebrew sites. Example, NES developer, NES dev, C4 dev. They give honest feedback like the old days. Good opportunity. Yeah, thankfully, like movies, there are plenty of old games that are excellent. I have my Xbox 360 all queued up and ready to go. I think I'm gonna start Red Dead Redemption. No, I will not be getting Grand Theft Auto 6. I'll play Grand Theft Auto 5, San Andreas, and Vice City because they're good games. What's great is they're so long ago, I guarantee you forgot them. I played Borderlands 2, I don't remember any of it. I played Witcher 3, I don't remember any of it. It was like playing them through for the first time. Sam Whiskey, most American name in America, $5. Like the scoundrel of South Dakota said, they voted for this. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, they didn't vote for this. Companies, for whatever reason, hired non-video game develop video game companies hired non-video game developers. They put a bunch of things that nobody wanted in there, and the product is obvious. You can't have half your staff being not associated with video game development and management and HR and payroll. And payroll is important. The rest that I just mentioned aren't. Payroll, you need to have payroll, but I don't know where all this political activist, journalist, no, no. You need nerds programming great video games, and I would embolden the nerds like, "Look, you don't need these white collar people. You don't. Go start your own studio, all right? Bang it out, get it done and over with." Um, and what was the other thing I was gonna say? You don't need those people. Oh, you absolutely do not need writers. The writers are horrible, and you nerds gotta realize that you can write a pretty good story yourself, but like I said before, a video game like, do I enjoy the Red Dead Redemption story? Yeah, okay, but you don't need to be a genius to write that. You need a general arc, you need a, "Okay, that guy goes after this guy, okay, we write a little bit of scripted dialogue," but it's mostly playing games. When I tried to play Cyberpunk 2077, no, that look, you just failed writers who couldn't make it in Hollywood, and even that's failing. And then you say, I'm gonna make a video game movie. I occasionally pressed a button in that game, I think, after playing it for 5 hours. I couldn't play it anymore. I'm like, no, I'm done. I think I sold it back because you don't play the game. But do you want to make games or movies? You want to make movies? Go into Hollywood or wherever they're making movies now. I don't know. But yeah, just a hint, you don't need writers. You can write the story yourself because the focus shouldn't be the writing. It should be the playing. Oh, that's right. Someone pointed out Borderlands is gonna 4. I had hope for it, and then someone reminded me about their what's Dustborn and Disco Elysium. They're narrative stories. They're not game or narrative games. They're not even games. You just select responses. It's a text-based game. How the hell is that a game? Go go write a book. Go. Yeah, and Borderlands 4 is just gonna be horrible. It's just gonna be horrible. Is that 2K? Is that the yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Ray John, $2. Canada allows inmates to use drugs in prisons. Well, Canada knows what they're doing. They're better and more advanced than us. Thomas Crown, $5. Cappy, did your parents try to steer you into a particular degree field, or did you really just decide on your own what to major in? Yeah, pretty much. It was either nuclear engineering, which I should have done, or economics, which I should not have done. And then I thought, well, economics is a little bit too philosophical. And I asked a guy at 3M, I remember, he says, you should go into finance. I'm like, oh, okay, is that more practical? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, no, no. They're the only major in business worth majoring in is accounting. Otherwise, you go engineering or medicine or the handful of other degrees that are worthy of dentistry, or you go home. You just don't go to college. But what if I want to teach? That's exactly my point. I want to be a teacher. Teacher. I want to waka. Teach with the children. You want to hang out with your own type? I see. Okay. We'll get pacifiers for everyone. You go be a teacher, sweetheart. Ken Rose, for $1, he says hello. And Sam Whiskey, again, the most American name in America. Although Ace Montana is high on your heels, man. I want to go back to associates required, bachelor's preferred. I want to go to in-house training. I want to go to no college required. I want to go to we gave you a skill and a trade in high school that should get you a living wage at the age of 18. And corporations ditch this bachelor's education requirement. I don't know if you saw Trump. He wants to do a free American college through the federal government, and that it's all online, I believe. It's free. If he delivers that, he says a lot of things. If that happens, that'd be the closest to making it so that young people can find employment again easily. You got to go after these corporations, man. You got to say, hey, are you requiring people have a bachelor's degree? Well, I think we're going to raise your corporate taxes to bail out the student loan debt. I think that's fair. That job doesn't require the degree, but you're going to make them go to and take on that much debt to go work that job. I see that job has no hope of paying off the student loan debt you require to. You know what? I think it's tax time, and I'm not a Democrat. That'd be wonderful. No college degrees required. You cannot discriminate against class or education. You must train them. Look out. Here comes the GDP monster. All right, there you guys go. Links to all my stuff below for those of you in the video game industry that have been laid off. All right. The key trick is to figure out which one you're in. Do I have a worthwhile talent? Or am I in group 2 and completely worthless? You got to figure that one out before you move on to the next stage. But there you go. All right, that's it. We'll see you guys later, Toodles.